All right, so we're diving deep today, folks, into the 2025 SAG Award nominations. We've got our source right here, an article by Jake Coyle from the Associated Press, just came out. And man, let me tell you, it's a gold mine. Really gives you a sense of where cinema's at right now.
Definitely. Lots to unpack there.
A lot to unpack. And I got to say, right off the bat, what really grabbed me were the nominations for Wicked. 5 nominations. 5. Including, of course, outstanding performance by a cast. It's got to be a good sign, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Wicked has been like the talk of the town since it landed.
Yeah.
And with 5 nominations, especially that one for outstanding cast, it's a strong signal for Oscar potential.
Right. Like, think about it. The last 3 films that snagged that SAG Award for outstanding cast, they all went on to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty reliable predictor.
Exactly. And Wicked's already got a win under its belt, too. The National Board of Review Awards.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They took home a prize there. So, things are looking good.
Definitely looking good. And we can't just gloss over the individual nominations either. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, they all got nods for their performances.
Yeah. That's huge, right? I mean, because it's not just about the story or the spectacle or how big the thing is, It's the actors themselves actually embodying these characters that people, love.
Right.
It really says something, about the performances, like they were strong enough to stand out, even in a cast that's already, packed with talent.
Totally. And they even got a nomination for the stunt ensemble. I mean, come on, that tells you something about the scale of this production. Wicked fans, get ready, because this is going to be something else.
Oh, yeah. They're in for a treat.
A total treat. But, while Wicked seems to be, leading the pack, there's another contender I got to mention. A Complete Unknown snagged 4 nominations, including Best Actor for Timothée Chalamet.
Ah, yes. A Complete Unknown, huh? It's interesting, isn't it, to see a biopic, especially one about, someone like Bob Dylan, who's so complex. I mean, everyone knows him, and it's getting all this attention from SAG voters.
Right.
It really says something, don't you think? These are fellow actors. They're the ones voting, so they know, what it takes to, embody a character like Dylan, to really get the nuances right.
Absolutely. And it's not just Chalamet either. Edward Norton and Monica Barbaro got supporting nods.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Which tells you, it's probably strong performances across the board, not just a one-man show.
It really does make you wonder, though, right? I mean, is the recognition for A Complete Unknown, is it just about the acting, or is there something more going on here?
Yeah, is there something about this era in music history that's just resonating right now? Or maybe it's Dylan's life, his legacy, people are wanting to understand that more.
That's a really good point. And speaking of things that make you wonder, let's talk about some of the elephants, well, not in the room, I guess. Some pretty big snubs this year, some major Hollywood names missing.
Oh, yeah. Definitely some surprises there.
For sure. In the Best Actress category, no Angelina Jolie for Maria, no Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. I mean, wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then over in Best Supporting Actor, Denzel Washington got passed over for Gladiator 2. And Guy Pearce didn't get a nod for The Brutalist.
That is unexpected.
Right. We're talking industry giants here.
Yeah, heavy hitters. It makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Was it just a crazy competitive year, just an abundance of talent?
Yeah.
Or is it something else, something deeper, like maybe the acting community? Are their tastes changing? Are they looking for something different? Performances that maybe challenge what we think of as, award-worthy.
Really interesting perspective. And that kind of leads us to The Brutalist. Won big at the Golden Globes, but completely missed out on a SAG Ensemble nomination.
Yeah, that's a head-scratcher for sure. Gotta look at the history here, right? Very, very few films snag Best Picture at the Oscars without a DGA nomination, which The Brutalist also didn't get. And then you add on top of that, no SAG Ensemble nod.
Double whammy.
Yeah, it's not looking good. It's going to be an uphill battle, that's for sure.
So even with that Golden Globe win,
yeah,
it's Oscar chances are
shaky. Yeah, definitely shaky. They're going to need something big to turn things around.
All right, so before we jump completely to TV, there's one more film. Sing Sing.
Sing Sing, yeah. It did get a little love from the SAG Awards. Colman Domingo got a nod for lead actor,
Right.
but just one nomination, so it's hard to say what its chances are, for the Oscars.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Domingo's performance can, build up enough buzz to carry the film into the awards conversation. But for now, let's shift gears a bit, talk about TV. And, one show that's just killing it, continuing its winning streak, that's Shōgun, doing amazing at the Emmys, the Golden Globes, and now...
Oh yeah, Shōgun's on a roll. 5 nominations, including, the big one, outstanding performance by an ensemble in a drama series. That's a clear sign that people are loving it, both audiences and, people in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And individually, Hiroyuki Sanada, Anna Sawai, and Tadanobu Asano all got nominations for their performances.
Right. Really hitting all the right notes there.
It seems like Shōgun is really, it's striking a chord. And it makes you wonder, right? What is it about historical dramas that, just keeps pulling us in?
Yeah. Is it the escape,
Yeah.
Getting away from the present, learning from the past, or is it something else, something more?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
One we should definitely dig into more. But before we get lost in history, got to acknowledge some other TV gems that got recognized. The Bear, that's a strong contender.
Yeah.
Jeremy Allen White, Io Edebir, Eliza Collins-Zayas, they all got nominations. People are praising their performances, saying they're so authentic, real emotional depth.
Yeah. Definitely some powerhouse acting there.
And, of course, we can't forget Jane Smart in Hacks. I mean, come on, she's amazing. And then you've got the duo of Kerry Russell and Allison Janney in The Diplomat. Both shows, tons of critical acclaim. And these nominations, they're just proof that the leading ladies are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, for sure. This year's SAG nominations, it's like a mix of everything, Established talent, new faces. It's exciting, really. Shows how much creativity is flowing in both film and TV right now.
Absolutely. And for anyone keeping track, the 31st annual SAG Awards ceremony, it's all going down on Netflix, February 23rd, hosted by Kristen Bell.
Oh, yeah. And Jane Fonda, she's getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. That's going to be a special moment for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
All right, let's take a breath here, process all this. We'll be back in a bit to really unpack what these nominations mean, especially, in terms of the Oscars. Stay tuned.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Okay, so we've had some fun, kind of looking at the big names, the big films, all that in these SAG Award nominations. But now I think we got to shift gears a bit, really think about, what these nominations actually tell us, especially when we're trying to figure out, who might win an Oscar.
You're right. And we can't forget that the SAG Awards, specifically that Outstanding Cast Award, they've been pretty good at predicting the Oscars, historically.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Wicked, it's leading the pack with 5 nominations, right? Including Outstanding Cast. So, yeah, definitely got to consider it a strong contender for Best Picture at the Oscars. Think of it like, Wicked's got a head start, but the race is long. Anything can happen.
Okay, I like that. A head start, but it ain't over yet. So we got Wicked out in front, then a complete unknown coming in strong with those 4 nominations. Still in the game for sure.
Absolutely. Those 4 nominations, especially that Best Actor nod for Chalamet, that shows you there's real support, within the acting community. And remember, it's actors voting for these awards, people who really, really understand, what it takes to deliver a powerful performance. They've seen something special, both in the film and in Chalamet.
And it makes those snubs we talked about, even more interesting, right? I mean, you've got Angelina Jolie, Nicole Kidman, those are big names, and they missed out on Best Actress nominations.
Right.
Makes you wonder what the voters were thinking, what they were looking for.
Yeah, no kidding. It could be, like we were saying, that it was just an incredibly competitive year. Maybe there were just so many amazing performances, it was tough to choose.
So maybe it wasn't so much that those performances were bad, but more like the bar was just really, really high this year.
Right. It's all relative, And I think the same logic applies to Denzel Washington and Guy Pearce missing out on those supporting actor nominations. Just goes to show you, there's a ton of talent out there, tough decisions to be made.
For sure. And it brings us back to The Brutalist. Mm-hmm. That Golden Globe win is a big deal, but then no SAG Ensemble nomination. Do you think it still has a shot at the Oscars?
It's tough to say, honestly. Like we talked about, historically, very few films win Best Picture without that DGA nomination, and The Brutalist didn't get that either. And now, on top of that, no SAG Ensemble nomination.
Yeah. It's not looking great.
It's going to be a tough climb, that's for sure. I think it would need something huge to happen, like a massive box office hit and, a ton of critical acclaim.
So a miracle, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not impossible. But, well, let's just say I wouldn't put my money on it.
All right. Well, while we're kind of on this topic, this whole award season thing, there's something that's been on my mind. As we've been going through these nominations, I've noticed a trend, and I'm curious to get your take on it.
Ooh.
I'm all ears.
It seems like there's this resurgence of, I don't know, historical dramas, biopics, both in film and TV. It's like everyone's looking to the past.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. You got Shōgun, huge hit, taking us back to feudal Japan.
Right.
And then A Complete Unknown, delving into Bob Dylan's life.
And even The Apprentice, which, in a way, it's recent history, but still, it's diving into, the story of Donald Trump. And we can't forget focusing on Maria Callas.
Wow. When you put it like that, it's really, really noticeable. It makes you wonder, what's going on culturally speaking? Why are we so drawn to these stories from the past? Is it, because things are so uncertain right now and we're looking for some kind of comfort in the past? Or maybe we're looking for guidance, some lessons from history.
Yeah. Or maybe it's even simpler than that. Maybe it's just the power of a good story, These themes of ambition and love and betrayal and triumph, they're timeless. They speak to us no matter what era we're in.
I think you're right. There's something inherently captivating about these historical narratives. It's like they give us a different lens, to view the human experience through. We connect with the past, but it also, in a weird way, feels personal.
And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, in a world that's just like overflowing with information, with technology changing so fast, maybe these stories, they ground us. They remind us that some things, some aspects of being human, they never change no matter what's going on in the world.
That's a really, really insightful point. And it makes me think, maybe this whole historical drama biopic thing, it's not just a passing trend. Maybe it speaks to something deeper, like a need to connect with the past, to learn from it, to find meaning in the stories of those who came before us.
I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, not just in terms of, awards, but also like what it says about us, about our culture.
Absolutely. All right. So before we move on, I want to circle back to the SAG Awards themselves for a minute. Think about what they really represent, within the industry.
Yeah, good point. It's easy to get caught up in all the glitz and glamour, the red carpets, and forget what these awards are really about.
Exactly. It's not just about trophies and who's wearing what, These awards, they represent something bigger. It's about recognition from your peers, from the people you work with, the people who understand what you do.
Right. It's like a validation of all the hard work, the dedication, the talent that goes into creating, a truly memorable performance.
Exactly. Don't forget, these are actors voting for actors. They know what it takes. So when you get a SAG award, that means something, It's a testament to your skill, your artistry.
It's like getting a standing ovation from the people who know best, the people who truly get it.
Precisely. And, while awards aren't everything, they do matter in the industry. I mean, they can open doors, lead to new opportunities, and, maybe even inspire other actors, people just starting out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those of you listening, if you're curious about like how Hollywood works, the SAG Awards, they give you a glimpse behind the curtain, You see what the acting community values, what they prioritize. It's not just about the glamour, it's about the craft.
And at the end of the day, that's what the SAG Awards are all about, celebrating the power of acting, how it moves us, how it challenges us, how it connects us, as human beings.
That's beautifully said. All right, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to throw a question out there.
Yeah.
To you and to everyone listening.
Okay, hit me with it.
Thinking about everything we've talked about, the nominations, the snubs, the trends, the Oscars, it all makes me wonder, do these awards, do they really reflect the best of cinema? Or are they just a snapshot, of a specific moment in time? Influenced by trends, by politics, by personal taste.
Whoa, that's a big one. That's the question, isn't it? The debate that never ends. And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Because, at the end of the day, art, it's subjective.
Yeah.
Right? What one person loves, another person might hate.
Totally. And that's why it's so important, I think, for all of us as viewers to think for ourselves, to develop our own taste, our own critical thinking skills. Don't just take the awards word for it, Watch the films. Decide for yourself what's good, what's not. Don't be afraid to disagree with the experts,
Yeah, sometimes the most amazing films, the ones that really stick with you, they're the ones that, no one's talking about. They didn't win any awards. They might not even be on anyone's radar.
Exactly. Those are often the films that, they push the boundaries, they challenge the conventions, they make you think.
It's like exploring a new city. Sure, you can stick to the main tourist attractions, the places everyone tells you to go, but the real adventure, the real magic, it happens when you get lost, you know?
Yeah.
When you wander off the beaten path, discover those hidden gems, those little cafes tucked away on side streets.
I love that analogy. And it's so true for film, too. Those unexpected discoveries, those films that, surprise you, challenge you, those are the ones that you remember.
So to everyone listening, while you're checking out all the big films this award season, don't forget to be curious, Keep an open mind. Look beyond the nominees, explore different genres, different cultures, different perspectives.
You never know. You might just stumble upon your own personal best picture, even if it never wins a single award. And honestly, I think that's the most rewarding way to experience cinema.
Couldn't agree more. All right, let's take a little break to digest all this, and then we'll come back for our final thoughts on the 2025 SAG Award nominations and what they might mean for the future of film. Okay, so we've talked about a lot, with these SAG Award nominations. Frontrunners, contenders, those snubs, historical dramas. It's been a lot. But before we wrap things up, I want to go back to that question you brought up earlier about the awards themselves.
You mean, do they actually represent the best of cinema?
Yeah, that's it. It's been kind of like sticking with me as we've been going through all this. Do the SAG Awards, the Oscars, do they actually point us to the most, artistically valuable films? Or are they just like a snapshot of what's popular right now? Influenced by trends, industry stuff, personal tastes, all that.
It's a tough one, for sure. I don't think there's a simple yes or no answer. I mean, on the one hand, awards definitely have influence, right? Like a SAG nomination, an Oscar win, that can really put a film on the map, get people talking, bring in a bigger audience.
But then again, like we were saying before, awards they're subjective, right?
Yeah.
A group of judges, even a big group like the Academy, they're still going to have their own preferences, their own biases.
Totally. And those biases, they come from all over the place. Cultural trends, what genres are hot right now, even personal relationships within the industry, it all plays a part.
Yeah. So it's like we gotta think for ourselves, right? As viewers, we can't just assume that, because a film won an award, it's automatically good. We got to watch it, form our own opinions, maybe even disagree with the experts sometimes.
Exactly. And sometimes, honestly, the best films, the ones that really stick with you, they're the ones that never even get nominated for anything. The underdogs, the hidden gems.
Right. The ones that didn't try to please everyone. They just did their own thing.
Yeah. Those are often the films that push the boundaries, break the rules, They make you think, they challenge you.
Yeah. It's like when you travel, Sure, you can hit all the tourist traps, do what everyone else does. But the real fun, the real discoveries, they happen when you get off the beaten path, explore a little, find those hidden spots.
Oh, I love that. That's a great analogy. And it's so true for film, too, those unexpected discoveries. They're the best.
So yeah, everyone listening, while you're checking out all the nominated films, the big names, don't forget to be adventurous. Explore different genres, different cultures, different viewpoints.
Exactly. Because the beauty of cinema, it's in its diversity, right? It's a window into all these different human experiences. And sometimes the most powerful films, the ones you never forget, they're the ones you find on your own, the ones that speak to you personally.
You know what? And speaking of powerful films, I got to bring up A Complete Unknown again. People are praising it, not just for the acting, but also for how it, kind of flips the script on the whole biopic thing.
Oh, yeah. A Complete Unknown. It's not your typical, birth to death story. It focuses on this one specific moment in Dylan's life, his performance at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival.
The moment he went electric and blew everyone's minds, changed music history. And the film, it really dives into what led up to that moment, the struggles, the artistic choices, all of it.
And Chalamet, he's getting rave reviews for his portrayal of Dylan. He really captures, the mystery, the genius, all of it. And the supporting cast is amazing, too. Edward Norton as Dave Van Ronk. It just adds so much depth.
So, yeah, if you're looking for a biopic that's, a little different, a little more thought-provoking, definitely check out A Complete Unknown. It kind of makes you realize that sometimes focusing on one key moment can be more powerful than try and tell the whole story.
Absolutely. It shows how a single event can change everything for a person, for a culture, even for the world. And it reminds us that music, art, it can be really powerful, It can challenge us, make us think, even start arguments.
For sure. I'm really curious to see how audiences react to this film. It seems like it's starting some interesting conversations, about how artists evolve, what it means to be authentic, all that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this new way of doing biopics, if it catches on. It's a reminder that sometimes you got to take risks, break the rules to create something truly special.
Absolutely. Okay, before we officially wrap up, let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways from our deep dive into the 2025 SAG Award nominations.
Yeah, always good to summarize the main points.
So first off, Wicked is definitely the one to watch. 5 nominations, including Outstanding Cast, plus a win at the National Board Review Awards. It's looking really good for those Oscars.
Right. Wicked's the front runner, for sure. Then we got A Complete Unknown with its 4 nominations and its unique take on the biopic. Definitely a contender, especially with Chalamet's performance.
And then those snubs, they were surprising, but they also kind of highlight how much talent there is out there. And they remind us that awards, well, they're not everything. Personal taste matters too.
Absolutely. We also talked about that trend of historical dramas and biopics. Seems like everyone's looking to the past these days. Maybe it's for comfort, maybe for guidance, maybe just for a good story.
And finally, we just want to encourage everyone, to be their own film critic. Don't let the awards dictate your taste. Explore, discover, find those films that speak to you, even if they're not winning any trophies.
Because at the end of the day, the best film is the one that you love, the one that stays with you. Awards are great, but they're not the only measure of a film's worth.
Absolutely. Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own cinematic adventures. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.